Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Napoleon Hill Ezine video newsletter. My name is Ray Stundle and I'm joined with Judy Williamson from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Judy, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you, Ray?
Wonderful, wonderful. So as we were talking before we clicked on the record button, today's topic is all about the importance of having a mentor relationship in your life and really how they perform the role of a pacemaker. I had to look down, folks, just because I keep calling it something else. A pacemaker. Now, Judy, when we think about the term pacemaker, it's an interesting word, and I just wanted to ask you how you came to use this word in this issue of the Ezine.
Well, I actually had to look that word up too in the American Heritage Dictionary to make sure I was using it correctly, because this e-sign is going to appear on Veterans Day, and I thought that we would honor our heroes. We would talk about people that have been mentors, who have mentored us in life. And the word pacemaker, a person that set the pace for us, as a pacemaker would set the pace of your heart, kept coming back into my mind, because heroes, heart, emotionalism, and someone that we can emulate keep coming together in that word for me. And so that word was correctly used. I looked it up, I made sure, and I think that on Veterans Day, as you've read the guest column too by Dr. J.B. Hill, we come full circle when we honor the people that have become for us those pacemakers. And we talked about it initially before we began our videotaping here, but we said, do we choose a mentor, or is there some other mechanism that a mentor chooses us, or is it a simultaneous action? What do you think about that? How does that occur in a person's life?
Well, I think that an individual really needs to have multiple mentors in their lives. And a mentor is really a role model. It's somebody that we look to that has achieved a result in their life that we want to achieve in our life, and we want to benefit from their skills and experience, their contacts, and really their perspective, and to help us understand the distinctions of what we need to do and what we really need to avoid. So when we think about the selection of a mentor and the whole relationship between a mentor and a mentee, I believe that initially that initiative, I think, usually comes more from the person seeking the counseling, so the mentee. But unless it's quickly reciprocated by the mentor seeing something of value in that mentee so that it is worth their time to share their knowledge and experience, the whole relationship really isn't going to go anywhere at all. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%, because when we look at a young person or another person that we would be able to mentor, we often see something of ourselves in them. And we say, that's me maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I often think of Napoleon Hill too. One word that you mentioned, counselors. Napoleon Hill talked about invisible counselors. And that's a big, oh my goodness, what did he mean when he said that? And the other interesting thing that Napoleon Hill said was, your counselors, your invisible counselors that you form into a committee or a mentoring group, can either be living or dead or both. Now, what do you think about that? Do you ever draw inspiration from people that have passed on?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. I was thinking about that actually a couple days ago when I was reading this edition. And I was thinking back to a time when I followed Dr. Hill's advice, and I went through and performed the ceremony of envisioning various mentors, living and dead, at a round table with me at the top of the table. Pardon me?
How did that work for you?
What was that?
How did that work? How did that work?
It was really quite interesting. And I think the secret to actually making it work, otherwise I know it sounds like something kind of crazy, to be honest with you, but the secret to making it work is that if you have done sufficient research into the lives of the people that you want mentorship from, and you understand their values, their beliefs, their philosophies, the way in which they conducted themselves, and if you've done enough research on them, when you move into a very a very relaxed state of mind, and you are imagining them sitting there at the table, and you imagine yourself asking certain questions, and you imagine their voice, and you imagine their perspective, you will be surprised how closely the feedback that you get from your imagination would mirror what they really would tell you if you had the opportunity to talk to them. And you can try this with living people and just imagine what they would tell you, then go and talk to them and see what they would tell you. And if you ask the same question in the same way with the same person that you know so well, you're pretty close with the feedback. And I think the whole secret is to really be clear with who it is that you want to invite to your table and to research them well, especially if they are not with us. So for me, I've done it a couple times. It worked out quite well. And actually, because I did it before going to bed, it kind of spawned off into a dream that followed afterwards. So the whole process just kind of continued. And in the end, the feedback that I got from myself was, I think, pretty good feedback. It worked out for me. Have you ever tried it, Judy?
I've tried it, and fortunately, in my past, I've had very good teachers, very good mentors, and a lot of them have passed on. Almost most of them have passed on. So I've had the advantage of working with them early on in my career, and then later on in my memory. And Napoleon Hill said a very important thing. He said, the people in your invisible counseling session cannot act out of character. They're always going to act in the character that they are. And for example, Abraham Lincoln could not become a mass murderer or axe murderer or something. He's going to act in character. And likewise, if you speak to people that are from your family, my mom and my dad are deceased. And so I still talk to my mother mentally. And I think we all do when we have people that pass on. And I consider the advice that she would give me. She would always give me the same advice, so I know what it is, just like you said. And I think that's where our beliefs and our values are, embedded in us. And when we talk to these people, when we seek their advice, it's like, getting feedback, and that feedback is what we should be doing, and we know that. Now whether we do it or not is irrelevant, I guess, as far as taking their advice, but it does determine the outcome that we're going to have in our life. So I like your idea about going into a relaxed state of mind, meditating, thinking about it, and then maybe going into a dream sequence and getting a message, because Napoleon Hill said he got the title for thinking Gorish in a dream, and he woke up and it was like a eureka moment for him, because that was where it came from. And sometimes when you prep, when you do things that are preparatory to a revelation, whether it's a real revelation or it's just a creative idea, you do have to do a lot of homework. You have to do a lot of treading water. You have to do a lot of journaling. You have to do a lot of reflection, meditating. So you're on the right track. Absolutely.
One tip for anybody who wants to try this at home is it's really important when you do imagine the people who are at your table, living or not living, to really imagine them as they are based on how they look, their mannerisms. So if there are certain clothes that you're accustomed to remembering them wearing, imagine them in those clothes. If they have a certain accent or a certain way of talking, imagine them exactly as they are, and really concentrate on and really thinking about their values, their beliefs, their perspective, and what they have accomplished vis-a-vis the challenge or the problem or the question that you're posing to the group. And have each one of them give you their advice as you go around the circle in your mind. And I think you might be surprised with the outcomes.
Very good. Very good application of that.
So another thing to consider is the role of a mentor in your life. I mean, I talk to lots of different people, and it's surprising how few people have taken the process and the act of connecting with another person who has seen more than you have, has done more than you have, really just has a different experience and a different perspective. And the value of seeking perspective is really, I think, something that's important. And whether that's trying to get into better shape or to connect with your relationships better, or spiritually, or your work, what have you, I think it's important to have different mentors for different parts of your life. And when it comes together is really when you really have that fulfillment. Because really, Judy, is it really worth it to be on your game, with your work and with your relationships, but not be on your game with your health, or be on your game with your health, but your relationships are terrible? Really, it all has to come together.
It's exactly true. You know, our guest columnist this week is Dr. J.B. Hill, and if you read the column, you'll find out that he's writing about a testimony pretty much to his parents. And oftentimes, as we're maturing, our parents seem to be our parents, and we don't always appreciate what they've given us, what they've done for us. And then in retrospect, when you're in your 50s or 60s, or hopefully even earlier, you have an attitude of gratitude that you can actually say, wow, they positioned me for success. They enabled me to do this. And I think that's what Dr. Hill was talking about in his guest column, because he's a retired Marine who, after he retired from the Marine Corps, decided he wasn't finished with his contribution, so he became a doctor, an MD, and he's practicing now in a veterans hospital. And I admire him because I look at what he's done and I say, wow, you know, how many people would actually have two careers in a lifetime, two full-fledged careers, and make use of both of them. But he's blended the background so well. And when you look at the history of his parents, you could see what motivated him, either subconsciously or consciously. He has a lot to give back. Yeah.
This whole idea of the attitude of gratitude and really realizing that we stand on the shoulders of great people who have come before us, whether they are our parents or they are people that we find inspiration from reading their books or learning from all the great lessons that have happened before us. I think that's really key. It kind of makes me think of this whole notion of a self-made millionaire as really being a misnomer, because while a person may certainly take the initiative and do the thinking and take the appropriate actions, if you really think about all of the different people that play a role in making for a successful business, a successful career, a successful family, it's pretty hard to do really anything nowadays 100% on your own. There is other people involved, and the more we recognize and appreciate them, I think the more success and the more help is gonna come to us, I think.
Right. One of the quotes a friend of mine signs off when he writes his e-zines with is, teamwork makes the dream work. And he says it can't be done without everybody. And he's an all-embracing type of a person, and he brings everybody on board. And I've seen it work for him. And I kind of look at him as a mentor too. And even though he's in a different line of work, I say, wow, look what he's put together in just a few years. And it's true. The more you embrace people and reward them for helping you, the more they're going to help you, you know?
It comes back to the whole good old law of cause and effect, it just falls right into line with that. Well, Judy, this has been another exciting and really, I think, thought-provoking video, and I appreciate your time and being with us to talk about these important ideas. I'd like to remind the viewers that if you did enjoy this video, please do share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, anybody who you think could benefit from the Napoleon Hill Ezine and these videos that we're doing. We certainly would love your feedback. And also, please connect with us. Go to the naphill.org website to learn all about the various resources and tools available at the Napoleon Hill website. And also come to my website, raystendal.com. Both of these will be shown for you at the end of this video to make it easy for you to know exactly what to click on. So, Judy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray, for making all this happen. We couldn't do it without you.
It's a pleasure, and I look forward to talking with you in our next episode.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Judy.